Okay, let's get into your reading, Cancer. Well, I feel like, okay, someone has not been the most stable towards you. They're a little bit all over the place. Like 1 second they come forward, next second they don't. You feel like you're literally in limbo land because you don't know where you stand. A lot of the times you don't really know what's going on. You don't really know what the situation is and what's happening and what's going on. You literally feel a little bit all over the place because you just don't know what's happening. And I want to name that limbo feeling right at the start, okay? Because it's one of the most quietly draining things there is. It's not the clean pain of a no. It's the exhausting in between of a maybe, the hot and cold, the 1 step forward, 2 steps back, the never quite knowing whether to hope or to let go. And that uncertainty, okay, is harder to sit in than an ending, because at least an ending gives you something solid to stand on. Limbo gives you nothing and asks you to keep your balance on it anyway. So if you felt worn out by this, worn down, confused, that's not you being dramatic. That's what limbo does to a person. And I want to give you one thing to hold on to right at the start, okay? Because you're going to need it through the rest of this reading. The confusion you felt was never a sign that you failed to understand the situation. It was a sign that the situation itself was genuinely, structurally confusing because the person creating it was confused inside themselves. You can't read a signal clearly, okay, when the person sending it keeps changing it mid-transmission. So all that time you spent trying to figure out where you stand, trying to make it make sense, wasn't you being slow or missing something obvious. It was you trying to solve an equation that this person hadn't even finished writing. Okay, so we're going to have a look and see what's going on. If this reading resonates with you, please do like this reading, comment down below, subscribe, let me know, because I'm telling you here that I feel like, okay, this person keeps a lot of their emotions and feelings to themselves. They don't like to express their emotions or their feelings. They don't like to, outwardly come forward. They feel very overwhelmed. They feel very stressed. They tend to get a little bit defensive when it comes to expressing emotions or being forced to express emotions. If you've ever tried to get emotions out of this person, you know how difficult it is. You also know that when you try to express your feelings to them and you expect them to respond something back, they become very defensive. They become very overwhelmed, and they become very, very chaotic, and they can become very sort of also argumentative, or they can shut down. They have this fight, flight, or freeze response where they either freeze and they don't know what to say. They either fight, okay, in return, or they take flight, and you're just like, wait, they just changed the topic so quickly. That is how you know, okay, that is how you know. And I want to explain what's actually happening in those moments, okay? Because it helps to see it clearly instead of taking it personally. Fight, flight, or freeze isn't a choice this person is making. It's a nervous system reflex, the same one that fires when a body senses real danger. So when you bring up a feeling, okay, and they suddenly get sharp or go blank, or change the subject so fast your head spins, their body has misread a vulnerable conversation as a threat. It's reacting to protect them, as if your honest question were something to survive, and that's not something you did, okay? You didn't push too hard or ask wrong. You just knocked on a door that this person has kept bolted shut for so long that even a gentle knock sets off every alarm inside them. And I'm telling you, this person here is someone that has not ever been super, super comfortable with expressing their emotions or being vulnerable. They've had a very hard time expressing their emotions, being vulnerable, talking about, what really bothers them or how they feel and their feelings. The Fool, they found it very, very hard to do so as a child because the Fool energy is a childlike energy, right? And so they found it very hard to do that. And the Fool shows a figure at the edge of a cliff, okay? A small bag on a stick, a little dog at their heels, face turned up to the sky, completely open, completely unguarded. And it's the card of the child, of innocence, of the part of us that feels everything before the world teaches us to armor up. And I want to sit with what it means, okay, that this person's difficulty with emotions traces all the way back to childhood, because nobody is born unable to be vulnerable. A child who learns to lock their feelings away usually learned it because somewhere early being open didn't feel safe. The tenderness got punished or dismissed or ignored. And so they learn to hide it, to protect it. So when this person shuts down on you now, okay, or gets defensive or changes the subject the second things get real, you're not seeing someone who doesn't feel. You're seeing a child who learned a long time ago that feelings were dangerous to show. Still running that old program in a grown body. And I want to be tender about that child for a second, okay? Because they didn't choose to become guarded. No kid decides on their own to stop showing their feelings. They learn it the hard way from what happened when they did show them. Maybe they cried and got told to stop, okay? Maybe they opened up and it got used against them. Maybe they reached for comfort and found none. Enough times that some small part of them concluded it's safer to just not need anyone. And a lesson learned that young wires itself in deep. So the guarded adult you're dealing with now, okay, is protecting a child who got hurt for being open. That doesn't excuse how they treat you when they're cold or defensive. But it does explain that their walls were built long before you arrived against dangers that had nothing to do with you. So this is someone that you know. This is someone that you felt connected to. This is someone that you've been around. The Five of Cups. And with the Five of Cups, you can see here that this person has been through a lot of trauma and a lot of difficulty, a lot of heartbreak, a lot of deceit, a lot of, being deceived and being belittled and being hurt and feeling frustrated and feeling challenged and genuinely feeling very, very upset. This person has been through a lot. Throughout all of that, though, they have seen you as the constant figure of being very, very stable. They have seen you as a constant. Now, what does that mean? Well, your character hasn't shifted. You've still been a loving, kind, caring, graceful human being. Your character in its essence has not changed. It has not differed. It has not been any different. You've always been a loving person. You've always been very supportive. You've always been very sweet, right? Of course, there are moments where you stood up for yourself because you felt like their behavior maybe wasn't so great. But you've always been a very supportive, kind person and held your boundaries. And I want to pause on that word constant, okay? Because it's quietly one of the highest things anyone can be called in a world where most people are weather changing with every mood and circumstance. You were climate, steady, reliable, the same warm person on the good days and the hard ones. And that kind of steadiness, okay, often goes unthanked because it doesn't demand attention. The dramatic people, the ones who run hot and cold, they pull all the focus. But the constant one, the one who's just reliably there, tends to get taken for granted, precisely because they never make anyone worry. So I want you to hear this clearly, okay? The fact that your steadiness didn't get noticed sooner wasn't because it didn't matter. It's because you made it look easy. and people rarely thank you for the burden you carried gracefully. But this person is noticing now, and your constancy is exactly what they can't stop thinking about. And the Five of Cups, okay, shows a cloaked figure standing with their head bowed, 3 cups spilled on the ground in front of them, but 2 cups still standing upright behind them. And it's the card of loss, of grief, of staring so hard at what went wrong that you can't see what's still standing right behind you. And that's this person exactly, okay, so lost in the spilled cups of their past that for a long time, they couldn't see the 2 full ones still standing there, which is you, the constant, the stable one who never spilled at all. And so they've realized that, throughout their chaos and everything they're dealing with, their chaos has been to do with themselves, not to do with you. The Six of Swords. Okay, so the Six of Swords here shows that sometimes, they move away from you and sometimes they come towards you. But they've realized that your behavior has always been the same. It's them that has been chaotic. And it's them that has been sort of thinking about, the past pain that they've been through, which has overwhelmed them. And then they treat you as though you've done that, So they're starting to realize that you've been super constant and your energy has never faltered. You've never been wrong. You've not done anything wrong in this situation at all. You've never been disrespectful or unkind or, uncaring or anything like that. Your energy has always been super, super constant. And now they are starting to realize that. Now they're starting to feel like, oh my God, like you've always been super constant and kind and caring, super loving, super understanding. I'm the one that has actually messed things up. I'm the one that's actually done that, is what they're thinking. Okay, they're thinking to themselves like, I messed up and I did this and I did that. And they feel like they messed up and they feel like they didn't do the right thing. And they're starting to realize that you've always been the most amazing person. And the Six of Swords, okay, shows a figure being ferried across still water in a small boat, moving away from rough waves toward a calmer, distant shore. And it's the card of moving toward peace, of leaving turbulent water behind, of a transition from chaos into calm. Whether you are male or female, or however you identify, I read energies in tarot, not specifically genders. So this comes across as your loving, kind, caring, beautiful energy. And they know that they are the ones that have been suffering, struggling, and feeling miserable and feeling overwhelmed to the point where they take themselves into different directions and they don't know where they're going. Okay, it's a bit like, the best analogy I can give you is imagine someone putting up a tent with other people, but everyone's got a different way of doing it and they can't agree on which step goes first. It's chaos, right? One wants to do things this way, another one is grabbing this, another one is grabbing that. They don't know how to put the tent up because they all have a different way of doing it. Okay, it's a bit like if you have a computer, right? And you're trying to fix the computer, but one person wants to turn it on. Another person wants to check the back of it. Another person wants to charge it first. You've got different people trying to do all kinds of different things, and it's just chaos. And that is where their mind is at, right? One part of their mind wants to progress things with you. Another part of their mind is like, no, I need to give things time. Another part of their mind is like, no, I should really come forward. But another part of their mind is like, no, but I should give space and I should take care of myself and figure myself out first. That's what's happening. It's chaos, right? They can't pick one thing to do first. The best way I can explain it, I really hope my analogy helped, okay? Because I really tried explaining this one. It's a lot to explain, and I want to draw out something from that tent analogy, okay? Because it's more accurate than it might sound. The reason a person freezes isn't that they don't want to move. It's that too many parts of them want to move in different directions at once, and none of them can win. So they all just cancel each other out. And that's why this person looks like they're doing nothing, okay? When really they're doing everything all at the same time, internally, exhaustingly. The stillness you see from the outside is not calm. It's gridlock. It's a whole committee arguing inside one person who can't get a single vote to pass the tower. So we've got the tower here, right? Like they're so all over the place. Like 1 second they want to come forward. The next second they're like, oh no, I don't know what to do. Next second they just, they're just so all over the place. They don't know how to say something, how to do something, how to come forward, how to do this, how to do that. They just feel overwhelmed and stressed. And they're like all over the place, right? And the tower, okay, shows a tall tower struck by lightning, the crown blown off the top, figures falling from it, flames in the windows. And it's the card of sudden upheaval, of a structure coming down, of everything a person built getting shaken loose all at once. And inside this person, okay, that's what's happening. Whatever structure they built to keep their feelings contained is shaking. And it's terrifying for them because when your walls start coming down and you never learned how to be without them, you don't feel free. You feel exposed. And I want to name why this tower moment, okay, as frightening as it is for them, is actually a hopeful sign, not a bad one. Because the tower only strikes structures that were never built to last. The walls this person put up to keep their feelings locked away were always going to fail them eventually, because you cannot wall out pain without also walling out love. So when their carefully built defenses start cracking around you specifically, okay, it's not random. It's that you, the constant one, the safe one, are the exact person their walls were never designed to withstand. Something about your steadiness gets past the defenses that keep everyone else out, and that terrifies them, okay? Because being truly seen by someone safe is the one thing a guarded person both craves and fears most. The tower coming down means you reached something real, and now they have to decide whether to rebuild the wall or finally let someone in. The Queen of Wands, the Page of Pentacles, and the Eight of Cups. So we've got here the Queen of Wands. We've got here the Page of Pentacles. And we've got also the Eight of Cups. What's really significant and very, very strong here is that 1 second they want to come forward, the next second they don't want to. 1 second they feel like, yeah, I should come forward because you're so amazing. Then, and then they stop themselves. We really need to look a bit more into this because I really feel here what is going on. And the Eight of Cups, okay, shows a figure walking away from 8 stacked cups under a moon, heading off alone into the mountains. And it's the card of leaving, of walking away from something to go search for something deeper. And paired with the Queen of Wands, all that fire and confidence, and the Page of Pentacles, the slow, careful new beginning, you get the whole push-pull, the part that wants to stride toward you, and the part that keeps walking away to think. The King of Swords and the Ace of Pentacles, King of Swords with the Ace of Pentacles, well, it all looks normal on the forefront, but then we go deeper, and it just gets a bit, So King of Swords, on the surface, you'll probably think like, oh, this is just their emotional behavior and their emotional character. And this is just, how they sort of are and how they've been because of things that probably happened to them. But then we dig deeper and we have an angel here that's guiding us in a direction that's quite powerful. And the King of Swords, okay, sits facing forward on his throne, sword upright, a clear sky behind him, butterflies carved into the stone, and he's the card of clarity, of truth cutting through, of finally seeing a situation exactly as it really is. And here's the deeper truth the King of Swords is cutting to, okay? And I want to say it carefully because it matters. I really feel here that whilst things on the surface may look like, oh, they're just dealing with a lot behind the scenes, I feel like they've been betrayed a lot. I feel like they've been backstabbed. And I feel like people have done things onto them. And I want to be really honest with you about what that does to a person, okay? Because it explains the erratic behavior better than anything else could. When someone has been betrayed enough times, backstabbed by people they trusted, their whole nervous system stops being able to tell the difference between safety and danger. So even with you, okay, even with the one constant, stable, kind person in their whole life, a part of them flinches, braces, pulls back, not because you've done anything, but because betrayal taught them that closeness is where the knife comes from. And until they heal that, they'll keep reacting to the memory of their pain instead of to the reality of you. And I want to go one layer deeper on this, okay? Because it's the key that unlocks the whole reading. A person who's been betrayed enough doesn't just get cautious. They develop a kind of tragic logic where the closer someone gets, the more dangerous that person feels. Because in their experience, closeness is precisely what gave the last person the power to wound them. So watch the cruel irony of it, okay? The safer and more constant you are, the closer they let themselves drift toward you, and the closer they drift, the louder that old alarm gets until they panic and pull back right when things are going well. It looks like rejection. It's actually fear of how much they're starting to feel. And that's why the hot and cold happens exactly when it does, okay? It's not that they lose interest. It's that the moments they pull away tend to come right after the moments they got closest, because closeness is the trigger and retreat is the reflex. Understanding that won't fix them, but it will stop you from blaming yourself for a pattern that was set long before you. And that's why there's no consistency. Okay, if you look at this person at work, for example, you will feel like there is no consistency. 1 second they want to turn up, the next second they may not turn up. 1 second they turn up with good energy, the next second they turn up with not very good energy. The strongest way to look at this person, okay, is to see, number one, their emotions and how they act towards you. And the second way is their work environment, how they are in their work environment, because let me tell you, both of those aspects show a person that's all over the place, and that, I think, is to do with everything they've carried. And I want to say something clearly here, okay? Because I know a reading like this can leave you wanting to fix them. You can't heal another person's betrayal wounds for them. That's their work to do on their own side, in their own time. What you can do is stop taking their inconsistency as a verdict on you, because it never was one. Their chaos was never a message about your worth, okay? It was the echo of everything that was done to them before you ever came along. The Queen of Cups and the Five of Pentacles. We also have here the Queen of Cups and also the Five of Pentacles. So I'm telling you, listen, I do believe that this person will get themselves to a much better place. They are very all over the place. They are sabotaging their own life. They feel confused. But I do believe that's because behind the scenes, there is something much deeper going on. All that betrayal, all that backstabbing that we have looked into. And the Queen of Cups, okay, is the most emotionally deep, compassionate, nurturing card in the deck. A woman gazing into an ornate cup, completely in touch with her feelings. And the fact that she's here tells me that underneath all the chaos, this person has a deep feeling heart. The capacity for real emotional depth is in there. It's just been buried under everything they're protecting themselves from. And the Five of Pentacles, okay? two figures out in the cold, passing a warm lit window without looking up at it, is the card of feeling shut out, of not letting yourself reach for the warmth that's right there. And that's the thing this person keeps doing, standing out in the cold beside the warmth of you, not because the warmth isn't there, but because they don't yet believe they're allowed to come in. And I want to name why a person freezes outside the warmth, okay? Even when they can see it, even when they want it, because it's one of the saddest patterns there is. When someone grows up not feeling worthy of warmth, they don't experience a warm, open door as an invitation. They experience it as a test. They're sure they'll fail. Or a kindness they're sure they'll ruin. So they stay out in the cold, okay? Not because they don't want to come in, but because coming in would mean believing they deserve to be inside. And that's the exact belief their whole history taught them to doubt. And I tell you this, okay, not so you'll go drag them through the door, because you can't. I tell you so you understand that their hesitation at your warmth was never a rejection of you. It was a reflection of how little warmth they believe they're owed. And the day they finally let themselves in will be the day they start believing they're worth it, which is work only they can do. And before I close this out, I want to gather up what the cards said. Okay, the first, their inconsistency was never about you, loves. The Five of Cups and the Six of Swords both showed it. You've been the constant, the stable one, the one whose character never faltered. The chaos was always theirs, and they're finally realizing it. The second, the root of it runs deep. The King of Swords cut past the surface to real betrayal, real backstabbing, people who hurt them before you. That's why they flinch even from your kindness, and it's why they're erratic everywhere, even at work. Not just with you. The third, they can get better, but it's their work to do. The Queen of Cups says the depth is in there. The Six of Swords says calmer waters are possible, but you can't row that boat for them. Your job is to stop reading their chaos as a message about your worth, and to keep your own warmth without freezing out in the cold, waiting for them to come in. And I want to answer one more thing, okay? Why this reached you now? Because the limbo had started to make you doubt yourself. You'd started to wonder if you did something, if you were too much, if their pulling away meant something was wrong with you. And it doesn't, okay? And you were meant to hear that plainly. You were the constant. You were the stable one. You were never the chaos. You were the calm they couldn't yet let themselves receive. I don't pull the Fool, the Five of Cups, the Six of Swords, the Tower, the King of Swords, the Queen of Cups, and the Five of Pentacles, all telling the same story by accident. This is already clear, okay? The Fool confirmed a childhood difficulty with vulnerability. The Five of Cups confirmed deep past trauma and heartbreak. The Six of Swords confirmed they now see you were always the constant one. The Tower and the Queen of Wands, Page of Pentacles, and Eight of Cups confirmed the push-pull chaos. The King of Swords confirmed the deeper truth, real betrayal underneath it all. And the Queen of Cups and Five of Pentacles confirmed they can heal, and that they've been freezing outside a warmth they don't yet feel allowed to reach for. So let me lay this all out one final time, okay, slowly, so it actually settles. Someone you know keeps pulling toward you and away, okay, leaving you in limbo, never knowing where you stand. And it was never about you. You've been the constant, the kind one, the stable one, the whole time. Their chaos is theirs, rooted in real betrayal and old wounds that taught them closeness isn't safe. And they're starting to see it now, starting to realize you never wavered, starting to feel like they're the one who messed up. And they can find their way to calmer waters. But that crossing is theirs to make. One message: you were never the chaos. You were the calm they didn't yet know how to come home to. If this resonated, loves, let me know in the comments what hit hardest. And if you haven't already, Subscribe to Moonveil Tarot, like this reading, and I genuinely read every comment, even the ones I can't always reply to individually. Your story becomes part of the reason this reading keeps finding the next person who needs it too. Wherever you're watching this from, okay, I want you to actually feel this settle in before you go. You have spent so long, okay, trying to read someone who kept changing the signal, leaning in, then pulling back, warm, then cold. And somewhere in all that limbo, you started to think the confusion was yours to solve, the problem yours to fix, the fault maybe yours to carry. And none of it was okay. You were steady the whole time. You were the one thing in their storm that never moved. And the fact that they couldn't reach for you was never a flaw in you. It was the depth of a wound in them that had nothing to do with you at all. So stop standing out in the cold, okay? Waiting for them to open a door only they can open. Keep your warmth, keep your steadiness, and let them do the crossing to calmer water in their own time, while you go on being the beautifully constant person you have always been. Take care of yourself. Bye, loves.